So the Packers 53-man roster has been announced just now. I have not looked at it. I'm about to react to it right here live in this video as I film it. And we'll see exactly what the Packers have decided to do. Obviously, there's been a ton of guys already released, which I made a video on. But now we're going to see the Packers plan, how it gets started this season. And let's get right into it. So here it is posted by Packers.com. So here we have at quarterback, Sean Clifford, and then Jordan Love releasing Alex Magoo. I think that was very expected. That was my prediction as well. And then a running back. Here we have one. I actually love this move. So, of course, A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. And then Emmanuel Wilson, undrafted player, actually made the Packers roster. Honestly, this may have been my most preferred situation just because I love Emmanuel Wilson. Seeing what he did in the preseason, his explosiveness, his vision was awesome. But I was debating whether or not the Packers would even keep a third running back. They didn't last year. I went with Lou Nichols because I thought, well, the third running back is important on special teams and in pass blocking. And I thought, well, the Packers like to keep their draft picks. Maybe Nichols is healthy. He'll start here. Obviously, dead wrong. But I love to see Emmanuel Wilson here. And he got it over Patrick Taylor, who I thought, if they didn't go, I thought Patrick Taylor would have made more sense just because the Packers used him last year on special teams a lot. So the Packers must like what they see in Wilson. I saw a few nice plays where he did have a couple nice pass blocking reps, but I'm excited to see what he can do. And who knows what's going to happen here with the running back room in the future, because next season, this is A.J. Dillon's last year on his contract. Aaron Jones is going to be almost 29 years old. Maybe the Packers see Emmanuel Wilson as a potential maybe number 2 back, maybe number 1 in the future. Who knows? But I love that he's on this team. He's very fun to watch, and so we'll see if the Packers work him in a lot this season. Now receiver. We got 6 receivers. So only going with 6, not 7. I had them with 7. I had Grant Dubose as the final guy. He does not make the cut here. But Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Malik Heath, who I covered earlier today. Love to see him here. Not surprised. He's played so well as an undrafted free agent. And then Samori Toure and Romeo Doubs. So besides Dubose, it looks like it's going to be 6. They released their 7th round draft pick. Now here we have it, tight end / fullback. 3, Josiah DeGuara, Tyler Kraft, Luke Musgrave. So the Packers decide not to keep 4 tight ends ever since, Tyler Davis went down with his ACL tear. It seemed like, okay, maybe the Packers don't keep 4. Matt LaFleur said the Packers don't need to keep 4, and so that made me think, okay, maybe they'll just go with 3, and then maybe they'll pick someone else up if they like someone who's been dropped by another team. I went with them getting these 3 guys, so that's cool to see. Austin Allen does not make the cut, neither does Henry Pearson. Now this is interesting. Offensive line 11. I had them at 10, I believe. They go with 11. So Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker, David Bakhtiari, Royce Newman, Josh Myers, Caleb Jones, Yosh Nijman, Elton Jenkins, Sean Ryan, John Runyon, and Luke Tenuta. So I know Tenuta had some kind of injury. I guess he's going to be okay now. I did not see that one happening. So congrats to him for making this roster. And then I also did not have Caleb Jones making it. I had Sean Ryan, Royce Newman. So I think some people were wondering if Newman would get cut. But so far, no. He's been shaky, I would say. The Packers decided to keep 11, so that's interesting. They have a lot of depth there on that offensive line. Then to defensive line, we got 6. Okay, so they do go with 6. We go with TJ Slaton, Devontae Wyatt, Colby Wooding, Carl Brooks, Kenny Clark, and then Jonathan Ford. And so I think the first 5 made lots of sense. I was debating if they would keep Ford. I did end up going with them keeping 6 with Ford. So that's cool to see. He was a 7th rounder last year, made the roster last year as well. And so not really any big surprises here. Those guys released Luan, Moultrie, Chris Slayton. But Colby Wood and Carl Brooks, draft picks this season and play great. Of course, TJ Slaton, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, the starters out there. And then Ford makes the cut. So I like that. Outside linebacker, we keep 6. Okay. We do keep Justin Hollins. Because I made a video earlier. Brenton Cox did make this roster, which is cool. The Packers actually kept 3 undrafted free agents this year. So that's cool to see guys who, probably lots of people counted out. I didn't even think, I did not go with Cox making this roster, even though I thought he played really well. I just thought they may go with a somewhat, safer guy in Hollins who has more experience. But they decided to go with both of them. So I like that. I had them with 5. They keep 6. Of course, you got Gary, Kinsley Enagbare, Preston Smith, Lucas Van Ness, no surprises there. But Hollins and Cox make the roster, so that's cool. Now, inside linebacker, Quay Walker, Tariq Carpenter, Eric Wilson, Isaiah McDuffie, and Devondre Campbell. So, hopefully, I mean, this isn't a good sign. Devondre looks like he should be ready week 1. Hopefully, he does not start on the PUP, which I did not see happening with Brian Gutekunst seeming pretty confident that he would be ready. Quay Walker, of course, he was a lock. And then Isaiah McDuffie seems to be the third guy behind those two guys. I thought he was a lock. And then I did go with these 5 actually for my prediction, just because Eric Wilson played a ton of special team snaps last year. Seemed like it would happen again this year. Same with Tariq Carpenter, who was a big special teams guy, moved from safety after being drafted in the 7th round last year by the Packers. I had those two just because of their special teams ability. They probably won't get a ton of snaps at inside linebacker, most likely, because it's probably Quay and Devondre. And then Isaiah, but those two, Carpenter and Wilson, should get a ton of snaps on special teams. So that I like that move. And then cornerback, this is interesting, only 4. I think I had them with 5 or 6. I can't remember if I had 5 or 6, but we have Jair Alexander, Keyshawn Nixon, Rasul Douglas, and then Carrington Valentine. So, wow, Eric Stokes placed on the PUP list, which means he has to miss the first 4 games, which that is unfortunate. This has been obviously it was a serious injury. He went out, missed a ton of the season around the same time as Rashawn Gary with the ACL, and he's going to be out even longer. So at least 4 more games. That is tough to see for Eric Stokes. Hopefully he doesn't miss too much more time than that. So we released Elijah Hamilton, Shamar John Charles, William Hooper, Corey Ballantyne, Tyrell Ford, and Keandre Thomas. So the other guy who I had making the 5th, I had Ennis Gaines, who has sort of been moved to safety, but can play, or has been moved to corner recently. Used to play safety. He still can play safety. They had him here under safety, but I had him as a 5th corner because of his versatility, corner and safety, and also his ability to play special teams, but apparently did not make the cut for the Packers. Now safety. Here we go. Dallin Leavitt, Rudy Ford, Darnell Savage, Jonathan Owens, Anthony Johnson Jr., and Tarvarius Moore goes on to the injured reserve with I think it's his knee injury. And I'm pretty sure I saw this, that he is going to get an injury settlement with the Packers. If I'm not mistaken, I'll need to double check after this, and I can share it somewhere else later. But I had Moore making it. I actually did not have Jonathan Owens making it just because I thought he has not played well. He wasn't really good at all in coverage last year in Houston, even though he started the whole time. But the Packers decided to keep him. They only gave him and Moore about $1 million each. So releasing either of those guys isn't a big deal just because they gave him a cheap amount of money when it comes to their contract. So losing either of those guys wouldn't really hurt them much. But they decided to keep Owens, and I noticed that he did play a lot of special team snaps, I think, in the final preseason game. I believe it was Ryan Wood noted that. I heard him say that, and I think I saw it on PFF as well, potentially. So starting safeties, Rudy Ford, Darnell Savage seem to be the 2 guys. Ford looks to have made his way back there in the final couple, maybe week or so. And then Dallin Leavitt, I also had on this roster just because of his special teams ability. He's been talked about so much since coming in last year. And then I like to see Anthony Johnson Jr. staying on this roster, being the 7th rounder this season, who I think has some upside, and he just plays hard, plays physical. And so I like that move. Maybe he can eventually push some of these guys. Who knows? We'll see. And now at special teams. Anders Carlson, no shock there, only guy on the roster. Made that nice 57-yarder in the game on whenever that was, not too long ago, preseason game, final one. And then Daniel Whalen, who we talked about yesterday, with Pat O'Donnell not making the roster. The Packers just are going very young this season. It's happened all offseason. Moving on from Jordan Love, moving on from all these veterans, Lazard, Cobb. They even do it at punter with Pat O'Donnell being released, and Daniel Whalen taking over the punting job. So that's pretty much the Packers roster. I like it. There's nothing that I think was absolutely crazy here. I think a few different moves, like Emmanuel Wilson. I didn't expect it, but I love it. I just love Emmanuel Wilson, the way that he plays. Seems like a solid guy, too. So that's pretty exciting. Same with Malik Heath, Brenton Cox. It's awesome when you see these undrafted guys push their way ahead of some guys who are drafted, in the 7th round even. And it doesn't happen all the time, obviously, but congrats to those guys for beating the odds, making this roster. And we'll see how this team develops as the year goes on. And there's probably going to be some more moves. They could release some of these guys, maybe one, maybe a couple, depending on if they find someone else out there on the market who gets released by these other teams today, because just like the Packers have released so many guys today, in the past couple of days. So is the entire NFL. So I wouldn't be shocked if Brian Gutekunst is keeping his eye out there, trying to see, is there someone else who can make this team better? Maybe a tight end, maybe another position. We'll have to see if the Packers make any more moves once everyone is released from the rest of these teams around the NFL. But that is my breakdown of the final 53-man roster. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys as always. I got a few wrong there. Emmanuel Wilson not making it. Dubose not being the 7th guy. The 11th or the 2. Actually, I think I had 2 offensive linemen. Not 2. Sorry. I mean, I had 2 missing. I did not have Caleb Jones or Luke Tenuta, so missed there. And then outside linebacker didn't have Cox, and then cornerback had Ennis Gaines. Safety missed between Jonathan Owens and Tarvarius Moore. And then, of course, the long snapper, who apparently is going to be placed back on the roster tomorrow, per Bill Huber of Sports Illustrated. The Packers are apparently going to place someone on the injured reserve from the roster, but if they did that first, if they place him on the IR first, they'd have to miss the whole season. So they're doing this, putting him on the roster. I don't know who it is. They're putting them on the roster first, and then Orzek will take that spot. So that's it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys as always, and I'll see you guys next time.